Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we've got another exciting episode where we'll delve into some key idioms and expressions from the popular English radio show, Power English. So, grab your headphones and let's get started. Segment 1. Tend to do something. Our first expression today is, tend to do something. This phrase is used to indicate a general tendency or inclination toward a particular action or behavior. It suggests that something is likely to happen based on past behavior, habits, or natural inclinations. For example, people tend to procrastinate when faced with a daunting task. She tends to be shy around new people. The price of goods tends to rise during peak seasons. Segment 2. Get credit for something. Moving on to our next expression, get credit for something. This phrase is all about receiving acknowledgement or recognition for something one has done or achieved. Let's explore it with examples. She should get credit for her hard work on the project. The team members want to get credit for their innovative ideas. He doesn't always get credit for his contributions to the community. Segment 3. Account for something. Now, let's talk about account for something. This phrase means to explain or justify something, to provide an explanation or reason for a particular situation, result, or occurrence. For example, the witness had to account for the discrepancies in her testimony during cross-examination. How do you account for your success? Segment 4. Most of the time tilde. Our next expression is, most of the time tilde. This phrase is used to indicate that something occurs or is true during the majority of a specified period, without implying constant occurrence. Let's see it in action. I enjoy working from home, but most of the time, I miss the social interactions of the office. She's a reliable employee who completes her tasks on time most of the time. Segment 5. Windfall. Last but not least, let's talk about windfall. A windfall refers to an unexpected and usually large financial gain or benefit. Examples to illustrate. The unexpected inheritance was a financial windfall for the family. The company experienced a windfall in profits after the successful launch of their new product. And there you have it, folks. A deep dive into some key expressions from Power English. Don't forget to like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe for more language insights. Until next time, happy learning.
Ish.
Hello everyone, I'm Kristen Cho.
And I'm Cameron Word.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We're always so happy to have you.
Yes.
And I would like to remind everyone that our program comes with a monthly textbook with our cute little pictures.
It does.
Yeah, like Cameron and Kristen on the cover.
It is true. It's a very young Cameron.
It's a very Snow White kind of Kristen. I've got this like headband.
The picture on my book, book.
Yeah.
I think I took it 6 years ago.
6 years. It's okay.
I look very different.
Yeah, it's okay. A lot of teachers do. They use their old pictures.
Yeah.
No worries. Okay. I just would like everyone to know that you can go to the bookstore to get the book. If your local bookstore does not have our book, you can order it online.
Yes.
Okay? So please follow us with the book. Now, we have an article for you today. It's not a dialogue. And this is a good question. Are people naturally generous? What do you think? So, naturally generous. Generous means what?
It means that you're giving.
Yeah.
So if someone needs something, you will give them what they need. As much as you can.
Right.
You know, if someone needs money, do you give them money? If
Right.
someone needs food, do you give them food?
Kind, generous, right? So, are they naturally generous?
Goodness.
That's a good question.
I think some people are,
yeah.
and some people aren't.
Yes.
And I also think it depends on the situation.
Yes.
How much are you poor yourself?
Right. But
Or are you rich?
But you know what, Cameron? Usually the people who do a lot of the donations, the small donations, are people who don't have a lot of money.
Well, it's probably why they don't have money. If they kept their money, they'd be rich, but they keep giving it away. As a joke, no. But I think it is kind of true. It's like rich people,
Yeah.
if you look at the percentage
Yes.
of their entire wealth that they have, they often give a lower percentage than people that do not make as much money.
That's right. Okay, so we're going to find the answer to this question today. But first, let's look at our three phrases.
Yes.
If you tend, T-E-N-D, to do something, what does this mean?
It means that you often do something. Not always, but this is often the case, what you do.
Okay. Now, if you get credit for something.
So this credit here, we're talking about praise or being acknowledged for doing something often good.
Okay. Oh, here's another something. Account for something.
Yes. To account for something is to keep a record of something, often money. So like we have accountants or accounting that look at money.
Yeah.
In the same way, account for something means to write something down about where it went.
All right, very good. So let's go ahead and listen to our article and that talks about, are people naturally generous?
A new study showed that when people suddenly receive a cash windfall, they tend to give a lot of it away. And most of the time, people don't care if they get credit for it or not. To conduct the study, 200 people were given $10,000 each and told they must spend it all within 3 months and account for their spending. Despite the fact that some of the people involved had financial trouble, much of the money was given to or spent on friends and family. An average of 20% was given to strangers. The result proved that humans are naturally generous.
Okay, here we go. A new study showed that when people suddenly receive a cash windfall, they tend to give a lot of it away. Okay.
Yes.
This is a great expression. Windfall. Cash windfall. W-I-N-D-F-A-L-L. It's one word.
Yeah.
What does this mean, a cash windfall?
So a cash windfall is whenever you receive money and you were not expecting it.
Yeah.
It just happened all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And it's usually quite a lot of money.
Right.
So if you think of like the lottery.
Right.
Right? Winning all that money. That would be a windfall.
Yeah, for sure.
Or even things like a bonus at a job that you're not expecting. Right? Not your every year kind of Christmas bonus that maybe you get, but one that your company just decides
to give.
We had an amazing year.
Yeah.
We're going to give every employee $1,000.
Wow.
That would be a windfall.
Or maybe there was a new tax law and you got a refund.
Oh, yeah. You weren't expecting a refund.
You weren't expecting a refund, but you got like a huge refund.
Yeah. Or someone rich in your family died.
And left you some money.
Maybe you didn't know who they were. Like, you know the story of like, you didn't know you had an uncle?
Yeah.
But then he passed away.
Yeah.
And then you get all this money that you weren't expecting. That would be considered a windfall.
Okay. Now, I've never experienced a cash windfall.
Oh, me neither.
But I sure would like to.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Now, they tend to give it away.
Yes. Tend to means there's a tendency. It is often the case. Not always, but this is the general trend.
Okay.
So a lot of times people give the money that they receive away.
Okay. And most of the time, people don't care if they get credit for it or not. Wow, people are really good.
Yes.
Okay. Most of the time is our power pattern.
Yeah, so this is a great expression when you want to say something in between, sometimes, and all of the time. Sometimes is about 40 to 50%.
Yeah.
And all the time is 100%.
Yeah.
When you want to say about 70 or 80%, you would say most of the time.
Oh, I like how you broke that up into percentages. Okay. Most of the time, people don't care if they get credit for it or not.
Yeah.
Meaning they give away the money, but they don't care if they get recognized for it or not.
Yeah.
Wow.
To get credit for is for someone to see you doing something good and tell you good job or to reward you with something. So to get credit for it would be I don't know, you're volunteering, and obviously you don't get money for volunteering, but maybe you get, I don't know, someone in the newspaper writes about you.
Right.
Wow, look at this person. They volunteered and did so much work.
Right. Now, oftentimes when we say, like, when someone comes up with a good idea or they came up with a really great campaign.
Yeah.
And, you know, people want to get credit, meaning they want to be acknowledged. They want to be recognized for what they did.
Right.
And that's what this expression means.
Yes.
To get credit for something.
Means someone saw you doing something good.
Yeah.
And was like, yeah,
wow,
you did it.
That was great.
Yeah.
Good idea. Okay. So, but people don't care. Yeah. They don't need the credit. They don't need to get credit. Okay, let's continue.
To conduct the study, 200 people were given $10,000 each and told they must spend it all within 3 months and account for their spending.
Okay, so this was a test. Okay, gave $10,000.
Yes.
So, and they have to spend it 3 months and account for their spending.
Yes.
So, what is account for their spending? Account for something.
Right. To account for something is to have the record that it happened. So whenever these researchers went back to the people had to be able to tell the researchers exactly where all the money went.
Okay.
So this account for, it's very similar to when you do your taxes or a business has to do their accounting to show where they've used their money for the year. It's the same account.
Okay. So they have to show them the researchers where they spent the money. And it says, despite the fact that some of the people involved had financial trouble, meaning the people in the study had money problems.
Yeah.
Okay? Much of the money was given to or spent on friends and family. So they got $10,000 and maybe they spent like $8,000 on friends and family.
Gosh, how nice.
An average of 20% was given to strangers.
Oh.
People they don't even know.
Yeah.
The result proved that humans are naturally generous.
I don't know. They still had to tell the researchers. So maybe they...
I think if I had $10,000, I would definitely spend my close friends and family. I would all give them something.
Oh, really?
I would.
Look at you. You're so generous. I probably would not. That $10,000 is going into the stock market. I'm investing it.
Okay, thank you for your honesty. I'm sure many people agree with you. I'm sure the right answer would be, oh yeah, I'm going to spend it on other people. But maybe our initial instinct is like, oh, I'll keep it. All right, we understand. Okay, let's listen to that article one more time.
A new study showed that when people suddenly receive a cash windfall, they tend to give a lot of it away. And most of the time, people don't care if they get credit for it or not. To conduct the study, 200 people were given $10,000 each and told they must spend it all within 3 months and account for their spending. Despite the fact that some of the people involved had financial trouble, much of the money was given to or spent on friends and family. An average of 20% was given to strangers. The result proved that humans are naturally generous.
Okay, let's do a quick review, Cameron.
Yes.
Tend to do something means you have a tendency to do something, which means what?
You often do it.
Yeah.
It's not always that you do it, but it's more than 50% of the time you're doing it.
Right. And it's kind of something kind of related to habit.
Yeah.
Kind of related to routine.
Yes.
You know, it's kind of your inclination to do something. Why do you always fall asleep every day at 2?
I tend to get sleepy after eating a big lunch.
Yeah. All right.
Not every time.
Yeah.
But most of the time I get sleepy after lunch.
Yeah. And
it's so true.
I have to give a little shout out to a very close 동생. She tends to take a nap in the evening.
Take a nap
right after dinner.
Right after dinner?
Right after dinner. It's like because and you the sofa is so comfy, and it's just like a short doze.
Really?
Yeah, and then like she can't go back to sleep, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like right away, because you're all refreshed.
Yeah.
I said, that is the worst thing that you can do.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
But I understand.
Tend to, but I do too.
Sometimes I get so tired after eating.
Of course. Around 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you get very sleepy. Okay. She tends to spend her Sundays alone.
Yeah, not every Sunday.
Yeah.
But most Sundays.
Yeah.
Just by herself.
60% of the time?
At least 60%.
Okay. So let's give an example when we use this expression on ourselves. I tend to.
So anything that you do as a daily habit or weekly habit, so I tend to wake up at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
Or I tend to, let's say you want to talk about your traveling habits. So
yes.
you say, I tend to travel inside Korea. I don't really travel outside of Korea.
That's right. Yeah. Whereas for me, it's the opposite. I tend to travel outside of Korea and not within.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. But, now these days, though, that my mother is here, I don't need to go to LA as often.
Right.
All right. Very good. So usually something that you normally do.
Yes.
Okay. Get credit for something means to get acknowledgement, recognition, or praise for something that you did. I should have gotten credit for the work I did.
Get used to it. They only give credit to the heads of the departments. That's so true.
When you work in a company, you give out all your ideas, and guess who gets the credit?
The boss.
That's right.
Yeah, the people on the bottom, they do all the work.
Right.
And get none of the credit.
Right. It's nice to see a junior scientist get credit for her discoveries.
Isn't that true? Even in academia, in colleges, the junior researchers, maybe they find a really important discovery. But when they write the paper, the head professor has to put their name on the paper as well. So everyone thinks that the head professor, the head scientist,
that's right,
discovered it when it was really the people underneath.
Right. So I think it's very important that people get credit for things that, that they thought about or that they did. But unfortunately, it's not always fair.
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But usually the junior or the people, kind of the employees don't get credit, and the people on top get the credit.
That's very true. I mean, we've talked about work in this case. You could maybe use this in a marriage. If someone says, like, I feel like I don't get any credit for the housework I do.
Yes.
Where the other person is complaining, oh, you're so lazy, you don't ever do any blah, blah, blah. You're like, hey, I clean the toilets.
Oh, yeah.
I take out the trash. And I don't get any credit for that.
Here's a great example, and I've heard of this before, of like, doctors, maybe the wife or the husband, go to medical school, and their spouses, support them.
Yeah.
Because they don't make much money. Right? And sometimes you forget. People forget. They don't get credit for all that they did during those years.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So easy for us to forget.
Oh, yeah, don't forget. We need to give credit where due.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, our last expression, account for something.
This means that you have recorded something and you know where it went. It's often money that we're talking about.
Yeah, so to keep a record of how much you spent.
Yes.
Can you account for the $4,000 not listed under expenses?
Yes, that money was never spent, so it's still in the company account.
Okay. All right. We don't have a record. Oh, don't worry. It's still there.
It's still there.
I can always account for how my money is spent.
Yes. So, like both of these examples and the dialogue, it's about money that we often use account for.
Yeah.
So, if anyone has to maybe go on a business trip and you keep all of your receipts.
Yes.
You're accounting for your expenses. so that the company can pay you back.
All right.
Or if you're using the company card, you can explain where you use the money.
Absolutely. All right, our power pattern today is most of the time, and Cameron explained it's usually like 70-80% of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time she stays home and reads books.
Most of the time it only rains in the spring.
Okay. Okay. And windfall is our power vocabulary. It's a great vocabulary. It means that you just get a large amount of money unexpectedly.
Yeah, an inheritance or the lottery or a bonus.
Wouldn't that be nice? All right, let's go ahead and thank our sponsor.
한국토익비원회에서 취업과